We are back. What's happening? I like that. You were like, hey, man. That was so cool.
We're just picking it up in mid-conversation here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, how you been? I haven't seen you in a week. Oh, yeah,
I haven't
wait.
seen you in a couple hours.
That's right. I saw you last night, and that was a pretty fun event. So, if you guys listen to the show, you know that Dan and I were into the acting scene here in Maryland, the filmmaking scene. And last night we had this really cool networking event for filmmakers, actors, writers, directors, producers, and it was pretty cool. We had a lot of people show up. It was nice.
We had a full house. Our friend JP, John Perrin, who owns Il Forno Pizzeria in Frederick, Maryland, who also works with a lot of the productions that are happening out that way. He has a brand new tasting room with Brandish with Banish Brewing, and so we filled that place. You know, we were joking we can't get that many people for our screenings, but
exactly. And you've made the joke last night. You were like, all right, everybody's here, sit down, you're watching our movie.
Yeah.
So,
you're gonna watch the Recursion Theorem, damn it.
You didn't watch it. You're gonna watch it now. Here we go. Everybody sit down. But yeah, it was a great event. I saw people I hadn't seen in 20 years, and I met a whole ton of new people, great young actors and filmmakers and directors, and it was a good event. It was nice. It was nice to be out, and it was nice to see that many people fill John's space. So that was good. So did I just say that? Fill John's space.
We're gonna pause for everybody to insert your own "that's what she said" joke here.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's kick it to the theme song and get this thing started off.
Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah, Appletinis with Ken. Oh, 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 oh. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh, yeah.
And we're back. All right, Dan, we got a great guest today. What do you got for me?
We have a great guest. We have, I feel like kind of like, do you ever listen to Brett Goldstein's podcast, The Films to Be Buried With?
I have, but I haven't listened to it that often. But
he's always got a great way of introducing people, and he's like, this person's a writer, a director, an actor, and all these things. He'll go on and on. And we actually have one of those here. We have a screenwriter, an author, a producer, a director, a podcaster, a juggler, a pickleballer.
I forgot about that. He is an awesome pickleball player.
His books include Nomad, which is kind of like Aliens. 44 Rules for Amateur Sleuthing, Bunk, Monster Stompers. He writes for Save the Cat, writes for TV, Save the Cat Beat Sheet and Workbook. His movies, his writing credits include Adventures of a Teenage Dragon Slayer, which starred Leah Thompson, who we all were in love with back in the 80s and beyond. Two Front Teeth, Altered, Lovely Molly, which stars a couple guys I know, or features a couple guys I wasn't really starring. Exists, VHS 2, Santa Hunters, Tiny Christmas, and The Night Watchman, which is near and dear to our hearts. He's directed a segment in Comedy of Horrors, which is our, a film that you produced and directed as well. Click the Series, which we're both in, and Last Night at Terrace Lanes, which by the time this airs, we will have just had the premiere, I think, last night, and it will drop on streaming tomorrow. We're coming out on the 15th with this, right? Monday?
That is true. We will be out on Monday, and it drops on Tuesday, the 16th. Tuesday. Yes.
So it's been described as Kingpin meets The Purge, and he's Jamie Nash. He's a friend of ours. He's going to be a friend of yours, so welcome to the show, Jamie.
Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Wow. I feel like I should have like a special jacket because, like, how on SNL when they're on multiple times, like I think I've been on Appletinis at least twice, 3 times. I don't know. Maybe this is only my second. I don't know.
Well, the restraining order finally, ran out, so we were able to contact you again and approach you and say, hey, you want to come back on? So yeah, it took a little while.
The first time when I was in my 20s, it was a lot different back then. We were all wearing butterfly collars and bell bottoms, but It's been a while.
I'm still wearing bell bottoms. What are you crazy?
Yeah.
I
got
like that idea. Get like a 3-timers, smoking jacket
Yeah,
or
the
something.
smoking jacket, and Steve Martin will come out, and
Yeah,
Donald M or somebody. I don't know.
absolutely,
Donald
yes.
M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Donald M is everywhere. So he's probably
Yeah.
sitting around the corner watching my TV, as far as I know right now.
Right.
Who knows? Or taking
It'll be-
pictures.
It would be the Jimmy's Chicken Shack guy and the guy who played Boba Fett. They'd be the ones there.
Yes.
Right?
So yeah, it's, John Morton is the Boba Fett guy. Yeah. So we got to get him back on the show. Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jamie, thank you for joining us, man. You've got this cool film coming out. I hear there's a really good-looking dude in it. I don't know who that guy is, but yeah, whatever. We'll get to that too. But I hear you got this film coming out. It's called Last Night at Terrace Lanes. So give us a little history on that and how it came about and how you got the opportunity to direct it.
Yeah. So the real good-looking guy, Carl Glorioso, is in a pin costume the entire time. So you didn't never even see his good looks. We had to hide him in a pin costume. So Carl Glorioso, who's a Frederick Film Office guy, he kind of runs the town. He's kind of like the Tony Soprano of Frederick Film. Okay?
Yes.
So he basically gave me a call one day. He had 3 elements, I guess. He had a lead actress, Francesca Capaldi, who we'll talk about a little bit. He had a treatment, like 1-page treatment written by Jenna St. John. And then he had a bowling alley that was set to be demolished like within 2 months. So he was already on the clock. He had like 8 weeks to go. I think this was June 1st, and we had to shoot everything by August 1st. They didn't demolish everything by August 1st, but I can say that when I went to do pickups there, the lanes had been gutted. They had removed all the lanes. And I think that was in August of the same year. So anyway, this kind of historic bowling alley in Frederick, Maryland, who I don't know, Dan, I can't remember. Did you grow up in that area, or did you move there? Okay.
I went to Frederick High, right across the street from the bowling alley, and we used to have a gym class where we'd walk across the street and bowl in that alley.
Now that you say that, I think on set you and I talked about that. But so this is a like bowling alley that everybody had bowled at. Families had been at. It's kind of sad, and it looked great. I mean, it looked amazing, but they sold it and they were due to tear it down. And Carl saw an opportunity. He kind of swept in. He got the financing for the film. He had using this 1-page kind of treatment, and then basically we were just on a roller coaster. Because I mean, if you know anything about film, 8 weeks to write a script, pre-produce, and shoot a movie is pretty short. And really it was less. And really, it was less than that in some ways. So we were kind of on a roller coaster. We brought in a good friend of mine, a co-writer of mine, Adam Caesar. And Adam Caesar is best known for he has a best-selling book series called Clown in a Cornfield. Clown in a Cornfield. I always get confused if it's A or the. I think it's Clown in a Cornfield.
Yes.
And it's he has a best-selling series. His 3rd book in that series is about to come out, I think, Halloween. You can pre-order it this year. So we brought him in. He was on vacation, and he literally wrote the script while he was on vacation at the Jersey Shore for like 2 weeks. Sent it back. We did a lot of development notes as much as we could over. I mean, it was all about the script for like the first 3 or 4 weeks. It was just back and forth, getting a script ready, casting people like Ken. And whoever else we can find. Dan's son plays a role at one point. And so we put the thing together. And what's that?
And Ken's son.
And Ken's son, for that everybody's son. My son didn't show up. I kept him. So we got it all together in those 3 or 4 weeks, and shot a movie in 12 days. It was 12 days. It was really 10 days and 2 half days, because they were actually shooting Satanic Hispanic pickups on the 2 half-day nights. So our whole
Yes.
crew had to leave at night.
Oh crap!
So it was really 10 days, plus we were able to pick up some stuff before the shoot happened in those other 2 days. So yeah, it was a fast shoot, and it was a fast project in that regard.
Yeah, you were talking about the writing and the treatments, and then you would give notes to Adam while he was writing at the beach and everything. Well, that continued for me as an actor into the shoot itself.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you were sending me pages, like every day. Every day before I got there, I new stuff, and it was just that kind of a shoot. You're in a crunch 10 days to shoot a feature film, man. That's a lot, and especially with that much action in it, because it has a lot of action in it. And I'll let you talk about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's kind of a trick I found is that you can get extra writing time if you write on the set. It's not a great trick, but if you only have a couple weeks, that's like another 2 weeks you get to write. If you can kind of write while you're on the set, while you see the set, while you discover new rooms and things like that. Because keep in mind, with only like a week of pre-production, we were learning about the set and and how it would shoot and things like that, and meeting the keys and stuff only a week before. So those things usually there's time to adjust, but we had to adjust on the fly. And to your point, and this is a problem with me, like whenever I direct anything, I like to do things you probably shouldn't do in 10 days or on a limited budget. And this is very common thread with me. So we had extras on half of the days. We had probably, I don't know, 30 extras every day, And if you've ever directed with extras, it's kind of a pain in the butt in some ways. You got to make sure they're in the right places. There are people that need to coordinate them. On top of that, we had action. We had like a big attack on the bowling alley. So there's like a very small, contained kind of battle scene, but it is there. It's something you probably shouldn't do on 10 days in a limited budget. We had several fight scenes. There are 4 or 5 literal fight scenes in the movie.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we had all the usual horror things like gore and all the things that come with that, like costume changes and continuity and all the other fun stuff that you have with all horror movies. But yeah, the stunts and the extra situation probably isn't something I'd recommend to most super low budget filmmakers on a normal basis, but I always do it.
Well, the good thing about the stunts on that were I've worked with those guys before, so we had a familiarity and we were able to quickly do things, and we spoke the same language, so to speak. Yep. They were like, all right, we're going to do this. Remember that? We did it in this movie. Yep, I remember that. Let's do it. Boom. And we were able to choreograph the stuff and move quickly in those fight scenes, which was really a benefit.
Yeah. So the stunt guys, I guess it's Jeff Wilhelm and Mascot mainly. What's Mascot? I never knew Mascot's real name.
Dan
Mascarello.
Mascarello.
Yep.
Okay. I just know him as Mascot. I mean, I love those guys. Those guys are great to work with. But on top of that, we had Ken doing all his own stunts and fights and things like that. And then Francesca, who was our lead actress, she did a lot of her own stunts and things too, and they were great. I mean, nobody got hurt, and everything moved really fast. It was never like a thing where time, slowed to a crawl. But I can remember were you there the day we did? Francesca has a fight scene behind the counter with the guy dressed in a pin costume, Mr. Captain Pin.
Yes.
And like that scene took a long time to shoot because there's little chapters in the fight scene. It's like you start in one place, something happens, there's another chapter. Those things take time. And then we did a full burn as well one night.
Yep. And I was there for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one actually went surprisingly quick. I mean, it probably took 2 hours, but 2 hours to light somebody on fire, for a few minutes is pretty quick in my opinion.
We can do it much faster than that.
Yeah. We can do it immediately if we had now.
Let's do it right now. You'll get a lot of YouTube views.
True. Yeah, Francesca was great with the action stuff. She picked that stuff up really quickly. She's very athletic, and she wasn't afraid, and that's the key.
Right.
That you can't, as an actor, if you're going to do your own stunts, you can't be afraid, and she definitely was not, and she went all in, which was fantastic. And that one scene in the movie, when you see the movie, and you'll know what I'm talking about, she went after one of the guys, and she was vicious, man. She was great. I couldn't believe it when I saw it on camera. I was like, holy, whoa, look at her. She was great. She was just into it. And, she gave it everything she had, which was nice.
So this was a cool one for me. So my son, he's done a bunch of films. Actually, some of them, he did All's Fair in Love and Wizard's War with us. You also directed that, didn't you? Wrote it. You wrote that.
Ken did. I whispered it in his ear over his shoulder.
And
which, by the way, when Jamie's whispering in your ear over your shoulder, listen. That's all I have to say. Just listen.
Well, the funny thing was, it wasn't about the movie. It was about other stuff.
That's true. It was about everything but the movie.
But this was the first movie that he'd been on that I wasn't part of, so it was really cool to kind of him go off to set and come back and tell me all the cool crap that happened on set and all this neat shit he got to do with axes and baseball bats and all of that. And so, now I'm sitting here with all this anticipation, like, where is this thing? And so when the trailer dropped, I thought it was great. I think it looks incredible. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like to me, it looks like a summer horror movie, it looks like one of those kind of really fun teen horror movies like we grew up with, except for the old guy.
Yeah, with an old guy. Well, they all need old guys, right? And the grumpy old guy. Could you pick out your son, like in the trailers and stuff? Could you figure out? No, because honestly, so in the movie, the cult wears. I was joking on the set. They look like the Jabberwockies a little bit, because they have these like drama masks and hoodies, and I have no idea like who is who under those. I would say, give me two guys, and they bring them out, and I'd say, yeah, taller, or shorter or whatever, and I have no idea who is who. So it'll be interesting if he can figure out. I mean, I guess he'll be able to figure out like what scenes he was in. He'll have that memory and stuff. But
he knows he was on the one scene in the trailer where the guys are coming up the alley. He knows he's on the far end, because he knows he was further away from camp. But yeah, so he's looking forward. We're coming on Sunday. It's he's looking. Or when you watch this, we went last night. He said he's gonna love it. He loved it. He loved the movie. He had a blast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't believe that he gave it that the thing got a 16-minute standing ovation. But it was incredible.
Now, what's really cool is it has, at this point, as of a couple minutes ago, it's sold out 2 screens at the place in Frederick, and they've added a 3rd screen. So this thing is really, people are really showing up. People are really coming out. And I said it earlier today, I grew up in this town, and it feels about as far away from the film industry as you can possibly feel at times, especially growing up here when I did. So just the fact that we're having premieres, and Frederick was in Satanic Hispanics, and it's in The Jester, and all these movies that are getting released. It's really cool to have that here. I mean, I know Maryland's always had a connection to film and HBO and all that stuff, but not Frederick. And so it feels kind of like I own part of that. Like that's my home, and it's it's really getting its moment.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's shooting in all like the places you remember and things like that too, because they're using every like inch of Frederick in that way.
Right.
They're finding all the cool spots.
Yeah.
So Jamie, when you were directing the movie, which aspect of directing
Which actor did you like the best?
Yeah, which actor did you like the best? Yeah, that's
Who was
exactly.
the best actor?
No pressure. Who was the best actor? No pressure to answer. But the aspect of directing, what do you like best? Do you like, because there's there's a lot of sitting around, right? You're waiting
Yeah.
for stuff to happen, lights to be set up, things to be moved, and everything. What's the best part of the directing to you? Is it the blocking? Is it talking and sitting with the actors and telling them what you would like to see in a scene? Is it working with the producer just to make sure you get what you're supposed to get?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you two things. The most fun I have is with the actors because I always like them to basically surprise me. So to me, that's always the most fun is working with actors. It's fun, it's funny, it's surprising. It's when I laugh. It's the best part. It's almost like, in some weird way, it's the only fun of it. Everything else feels like work, but that feels like fun. So it's these little breaks of fun working with where they're doing all the work. Really, I'm just kind of sitting there judging them. I'm sitting in judgment of them. It's my choose your own adventure part of the directing, where I'm like, no, do it this way.
Yes.
But no, that's my favorite part because I love when they come up with things. I love getting those first few takes and then saying, do whatever you want, do a crazy one. And I like to see some people do a crazy one, but most of the time that just relaxes actors, I find, and they do a good one. That's when they do a really good one,
Yeah.
But no, that's my favorite time. I I have a weird the thing about me on set, and I don't know if it's because I'm older or I was always this way. I was probably always this way when I think about it. I'm very much a first AD on set. We had a great first AD, and he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you ever see me directing on set, like there are some directors, I know like when I've sat on set and some things, and the directors really don't care about the schedule or the setups or anything at all.
Oh,
I
yeah,
am
I've been
so-
on those.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't even know how that works. Like to me, if the director's not controlling that, I don't know who's controlling that really. Because if I just sat there and didn't care that we had a 10-day schedule or a 12-day schedule, I don't know who would. If I don't care, I don't really know who would
Yeah.
be making me care. So if you ever see me on a set and I'm directing, that priority number one is that I get everything in a day. But that's not my favorite part. But
Yeah.
that's my highest priority is just, did I get everything on a day? Can we make a movie out of this? Can we edit it? And I'm constantly strategizing. I'm constantly staring at papers, rearranging things. I'm constantly rewriting script bits. I'm doing all that stuff. I'm constantly combining things. So to me, that's the number one priority. But my break is just watching the actors do what the actors do.
Well, I got to
Yeah.
tell you, but the cool thing about working with you, Jamie, is that when we do a project together, and you said this to me one time, and I always will remember it. You were just like, just go ahead and do Ken's stuff, and then if it's too ridiculous, I'll dial you back. If it's not ridiculous enough, I'll give you some direction, and we'll do it again. But that's the cool thing is you do after those first few takes, and we get what you get what you need. You're like, go ahead, play, have fun, and then do Ken's stuff and see what happens. So
Yeah,
I really enjoy that.
I remember on set, like these are the dumb things you remember, but this is one of the things I remember. There was a little scene where it was you and Francesca, and you're trying to find weapons in the shed. There's like a little locker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, it was just like a bunch of stuff, and I was just like, try some stuff out. So you did it. I'm just at one point you just picked up a spray bottle and started squirting in the air, like testing it for a weapon. Not in the script or anything. You just start spraying it around. And then the edit came back, and that wasn't in there. And I'm like, dude, where's the spray bottle? And I insisted they go and find the spray bottle, the spray in the air. And it's just stuff like that. That to me, that's the fun part, because I just script something, or Adam in this case script something like, Bruce tests weapons from the tools.
Yeah.
Maybe picks up a bat or something.
Mm-hmm.
So just finding that, just being present enough to find the stupid spray bottle and squirt it in the air. Like to me, that's fun to me, because that's surprising to me, and that's like the cleverness of being on set and kind of the fun of being on set and finding little things. But it can be as simple as that. But that's the thing I remember from whatever day it was we shot. It was like, that's what I remember.
One of the things that stands out to me when you've directed me, and it's like your feedback is not like any other director that I've been given notes from or given feedback from. You almost make it like an improv prompt or an acting exercise, and like a game, an acting game. And I always thought that was really a lot of fun on my end, and just stood out as very different and very unique. And so like hearing you say that's the fun part for you. You make it fun for us too. So that's really cool.
Oh, cool, cool. No, that's great to hear. No, I've always taken to heart not to be the line reading director, so I'm always trying to find the other things to do. Where sometimes I do realize that giving a line reading is just the quicker way at it. You just do it, and you're done with it. And most actors, especially people of your experience, you can take a line reading and figure out what it means. You know what I mean? You can dissect it. You can see the note behind the note. Excuse me. But anyway, I've always found it a fun challenge, and I spend a lot of time in preparation, like thinking, okay, if they don't get scary enough, what do I say here? If they don't get, and I actually pre-think some of that out.
Oh, nice.
I usually burn through it in about 2 seconds. It's like I give that on the first take, I give that note, and I'm out of stuff. Then it's like, okay, now what do I say? Like they're still not scary enough. Now what do I say? And then it becomes an improv game for me. But if I had more time, if I ever worked on like a Marvel movie or something, nobody's going to ever ask me to direct a Marvel movie. Maybe when Marvel starts crashing.
Not with that attitude, Jamie. Not with that attitude, buddy. We need to talk about positive reinforcements. That's what I'm saying.
When it gets to the point where they redo Moon Knight for finally after several years, maybe I'll have time. Honestly, I think to me, it's as important to go through and storyboard the psychology of that and the psychology of how you would talk to your actors as it is storyboard. But I have a feeling nobody, or I won't say nobody, but I have a feeling very few directors bother with that. Or not as much on the lower levels of directing when they really are concerned with visuals and crane shots and steady cams and drones or whatever they're concerned with. But I think actually storyboarding in some ways the psychology of your actors and how you may talk to them if things aren't quite right, how you need to tweak them, and just pre-thinking that out, like, because a storyboard really is just pre-thinking out what the day's going to be like on the set. That's really what a storyboard is. It's like practice. It's like trying to mentally visualize all the things that are going to happen. And I honestly think that's an important part of director preparation, is pre-thinking out what if the actor doesn't quite do what you want them to do, or isn't quite there, and you don't like it. Now, sometimes they don't do what you want them to do and you really like it. You're like, go with it. And it's just like, and I do that just as often as anything. I'll just be like, kids like, how was that? I'm like, fine, keep doing it, or you do it, give me some options is all I'll say, or something like that. But yeah, I love that part of it. It's like my favorite part.
Well, that's good, because I've worked on some projects recently that the director didn't even know what the hell a storyboard was. I was like, okay, so I guess we're flying by the seat of our pants, because here we go.
For Terrace Lanes, I did storyboard. I bought some software. I'm not sure that my DP really cared about them, because they didn't really pertain to the bowling alley itself, but at least because I storyboarded before I even saw the bowling alley.
Like you said, it's kind of like a map almost of what your day. Yeah, and then you can, as you're looking at it and days going on, all right, I got that, right? Boom, boom. I got that board. We're not going to have time for that one, so that one's gone. So, but at least you have it, and it's in front of you.
My boards basically become a shot list, and I worry about the shot list and not the boards. I don't even think about the boards once I start. Yeah. It's pretty much shot list.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is too is that when we were on set, Jamie, there was a day, and I remember I came up to you and I was like, this shot right here through this machine would look really cool, and you were just like, you know what? All right, and we called the DP over, Matt, and we talked to him about it, and you guys agreed on it. And there were other days when I would suggest something here and there, and you would tell me to shut the hell up. But at least on this day, you guys saw it and you were like, yeah, that would be pretty cool. So you guys went and you set it up and you shot that, and that was pretty awesome. So thank you for doing that for me. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, sure. No, that was an awesome shot. It was undeniably. I mean, a lot of times when people request that, you're just not open to it because of those schedule reasons. I mean, your mind is focused on something entirely different, and you just don't have time to even think about it. It's like, oh, I can't think about that. But it's great when something like that's pointed out. You find something, and you have the openness to do it, which I can't say always is the case.
Yeah,
So sometimes there's
that's
probably
true.
a lot of missed opportunities just from not being open to it.
Yeah,
So.
that is
But
true.
no, that was a great shot. It's a great shot, and it made the movie. It's there.
Awesome.
It's in there for sure.
Awesome. That's
You'll
great.
See it.
Well, I hope so. No, I'm kidding.
Now, then there was the day Ken had written this long 7-page monologue.
Yes, Jamie. And I was ready, man. I worked on that thing for a whole 5 minutes, and I was ready to
that's
go.
When you send the
No one was
second
really
unit-
sure how the USS Indianapolis speech really fit into Terrace Lanes, but somehow Ken was determined to get it in there.
I was trying.
He was like, I have bowling scars. You see this right here?
Yeah, this. Yeah, 10 pins went into the water. So I was ready to go, Jamie. I'm just telling you, it was a. All right, here's the one thing, Jamie, I'm going to say about last night at Terrace Lanes and the call you gave me, and thank God you gave me that call. I was in a bad spot acting wise at this point in time when we went to do Terrace Lanes. I was thinking about getting out of the business. I was thinking about that's it. I'm just done. I'm just moving on because I had a couple bad experiences leading up to that were just, it wasn't fun. And what I'll say is when you gave me the call and you were like, hey, you want to do this? I kid around and I say, before you finish your sentence, I was like, yeah, let's do it. But this film was so much fun for me to do, and I had such a blast doing it that it reinvigorated my whole outlook on acting and was just like, let's get back into doing it. And it set me back on a path of being positive about being an actor and doing this industry and being in the business. So I thank you for that because it was so much fun to be on that set. I had such a blast, and it was because of you, and it was because of the other cast, and it was because of the crew we had, and everybody was working together, and it was awesome. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you so much. It's really nice to hear. It's great to hear those kind of things, because like I always say, whenever I'm on one of these sets, I don't forget this either. That everybody there, I think, is like part of like facilitating a little boy's dream in some ways, right? Like I always dreamed to be out of set a horror movie and doing crazy stunts and stuff like that. And I don't forget that when I'm out there. So I'm glad other people are sharing in the same kind of joy. And sometimes it feels like a nightmare, right? I mean, sometimes you're there and you're late and people are angry and they're frustrated. And I'm sure most of the crew will remember. I'm like, it's part of the process. I mean, it kind of gets weird, but I'm like, it's part of the fun. And if you don't, you just kind of have to roll with it. People even will ask me, they're like, oh, it's so stressful, 10 days and all this problems and troubles. And I'm like, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would do it again in a split second. If somebody called me up tomorrow, I'd be like, okay, I'm there. What's the day? And it's not so much I'm in denial. I know exactly how much trouble and struggle it all is, but it's definitely worth it. And I think, but I'm glad you even had. This is the one thing I like about hearing actors and stuff, because you've also been on the other side. Both of you have been on the other side, and the other side is never really fun, right? It's never fun in a fun way. It's never like joyous fun. It's like an ordeal. It's always an ordeal, right? No matter how much money you have or how much time, it's always an ordeal to be in the crew or to be in the producer side. I always wonder though if actors can have more fun. I always hope they can, because my hope is they have like the purest version of the job in a weird sort of way. They get to come do their thing. They have to wait around a lot, but I'm always hoping that the actors at least don't have as much of the crazy stress as everybody else has.
Well,
So,
I didn't on this. There was really no stress for me. It was playtime,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed myself so much, and it was. And like I said, it just reinvigorated me and got me back on the right track
That's
as far as acting was concerned, because I was struggling with it at that point in time. And Dan knows. So Dan and I have had long conversations about this. So, but yeah,
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
And hopefully that joy of being on set comes across on screen. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. So we're gonna find out on this Sunday coming up. So.
Yeah. No, but that's great. That's great.
So
Go ahead.
You were saying earlier, you were talking about Marvel coming and knocking on your door. I was listening to a podcast at one point, and Edgar Wright, they were asking him, what's if you could go back, what is the project or the thing that there's still meat on the bone that you would go back and do? And he said The Running Man. And now he's actually going to be doing a redo of The Running Man. So Hollywood knocks on your door. He's got a blank check, Bob Hollywood. He's got a blank check, and he said he wants you to either take over a cinematic universe or reboot a film or franchise. Anyone that you would, what would you do? What's out there that you're like, if I had a chance, I would take on that and do that again.
I feel like every few years this changes because somebody takes it away from me. You know what I mean? Like, like there was a time early in my career I would have said like Godzilla or something, and then there's a million Godzillas that are, fine. And now I'm not really as interested in something. Star Wars, of course, I grew up on. So anything, if I was ever asked to do anything Star Wars, I would almost feel like that's all the good I'd ever needed ever. It'd be like I checked a box, that my childhood box was checked or something.
Yep.
Honestly, right now, I think just because all the other things have been taken away, I would like, it would probably be something like Conan the Barbarian or Red. I tell you the one I would do, and I think they already did this, was like Red Sonja or something, because Red Sonja never really had a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a kind of cool character.
Dude, the last Conan was terrible, though.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
it
was not good at all.
No, but I'd love to do. I'd love to do something like that. I like all the horror touches in that kind of fantasy too. Like when you go hard R fantasy, there are a lot of horror beats, and that's why I think Peter Jackson was so good at like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, or even Sam Raimi in Army of Darkness, because horror and it mix so well together in fantasy. And I don't know, it's always been. I think it's an underserved genre that they're just, especially recently, there just aren't a ton of classics in the hard R sword and sorcery genre. So that's what I'd like to do.
It sort of lands in a place where in order to do it right, we've got to put X amount of money into it. And in order to do that, we can't be hard R because we need people in to come see it. So it's going to be PG-13, and it's got to be kind of, dialed down and mild out.
You'd think Game of Thrones would have been kind of the window in, but instead it was more like, well, that's prestige. You're not doing that. You're doing some schlocky thing. So yeah, it doesn't quite get it. But you're absolutely right. Historically, they've really been B movies. So like most of the fantasy movies, like when I think back to when I was a kid, like Krull or Sword and the Sorcerer. Or
I loved
like
Krull. I thought Krull was amazing. Yeah, I loved that. I would watch that all the time when I was
that spider. Like, when you were talking about Peter Jackson just a second ago, I was like, that spider is just straight out of Krull, man. I mean, it's straight out of the book, but you know what I mean.
The movies that really, in some ways, the movies that made me, and I'm a huge Raiders of the Lost Ark, Steven Spielberg, and all that stuff. When I think back to it, the ones I saw over and over again were like Beastmaster.
Yes,
and Krull.
Love that. Love the Beastmaster. It was awesome.
And then
Mark
like
Singer,
Highlander,
right?
Even Highlander.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Mark Singer, who's a weird casting choice. I'm not sure I ever agreed with Mark Singer as Beastmaster.
But I thought he was great. Movies. Yeah, I thought he was great.
And again, Don Coscarelli, the guy who did Phantasm, directed that, and he lots of horror touches. Lots of scary, really dark stuff in it.
Those things that come up and wrap their arms around people and like
just
open up and the bones
drop out.
Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, so I love those kind of movies. So if there could be a franchise that got resurrected in that sort of world, I'd love to work on it.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. That's the one that comes to mind today. I've gone through the gamut though. Like I said, Godzilla, Star Wars, all the usual ones that everybody would probably say. But that's my weird, off the beaten path choice for today.
Cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, guys, I mean, and this is an off the wall thing, and you guys are gonna laugh. So we did that networking event last night out at Vanish in Il Forno out in Frederick. So we did that networking thing last night, but I was driving home today, and I'm like, what else could we do out there? And here's the thing that popped in my head: a script reading of Sinkhole 2, and invite people to come out and do,
It was funny the last time we did it.
We did. It was great. It was great. And, we get everybody that we know and we put on a show. We do the script reading of Sinkhole 2. Sinkhole 2 is a phenomenal script. It's hilarious, Jamie. You and Ed, that thing is funny as shit. And I love it.
Listeners, do you guys want to just tell what Sinkhole 2 is?
So go ahead, Jamie.
So Sinkhole 2 is really, it's kind of like I don't want to say Airplane-esque, because Airplane is a very specific thing, but it's kind of a spoof movie basically about a sinkhole that attacks a town. It's a sentient sinkhole that attacks a small town. It's kind of in the vein of Jaws in a weird sort of way.
Yes. It had very, very similar beats in that movie.
Yeah, the structure is similar to Jaws, but instead of an ocean, it's just concrete and a sinkhole attacking and things like that. And we had always hoped to do it in a very low budget, miniatures, practical effects sort of way, because it really is just a ridiculous movie that you could get away with effects. But anyway, it's a comedy, and we did a reading of it once, and it was pretty hilarious. You cast it great, all from locals, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I would love to do it again. And actually, I know we did have somewhat of an audience at that thing, but I think if we had an event and we blew it out and we invited a ton of people, we could really do something cool with that and really fun. And we had some rehearsals leading up to it. I think it would be great.
The audience we had, I remember, was part of a film festival or something, and it was a very confused audience. It was
they were like, "What the hell's happening?
What did I walk into?"
Exactly.
It's pretty obscene in a lot of ways, probably pretty offensive in a lot of ways, in all the best ways, but very funny.
I think we would have to update it. We would have to update it a little bit. Yes, we would have to update
one
it.
thing in particular.
Yes.
That needs to be updated. But yeah, it's a fun one. I just did. I just wrote and directed an audio drama. I can't say the title of it or anything yet, which sucks because it's coming out in March, so it'll be out in a couple of weeks. But I went through that experience of directing actors in an audio drama. And first of all, I'd say it was like my favorite experience because it was all the fun I have directing film without any of the things I don't like. Because it was
driving to set, you could just do it from Zoom or whatever.
It was 8 hours of nonstop of working with actors. It was so much fun. I mean, it was so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun it was. It was all acting. I mean, that's all it was. All day long, it was acting. I got that all day. We did the whole thing. We did like 2, I don't know, maybe 3 hours worth of episodes in 6 days or something like that. So it moves awesome. Really fast. But while I was doing it, I was like, we should do this with Sinkhole. This would be so much fun with Sinkhole. Because,
I would love to do it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's make it happen. I mean, we got to get Ed on board, obviously, because it's his script. Pretty much. I think it would work great as a podcast in some ways. But anyway, that's us brainstorming our future on the podcast. On the podcast, yes.
But I'm a big fan of the audio dramas. That's another thing that's a lot of fun. Both of you should totally do one of those one day if you haven't already.
I would love to. I've just rebuilt my sound booth just so I could start doing more voiceover stuff. So hopefully I can get into that.
And ours was completely remote, so everybody showed up in their underwear and just talked, and acted. It was a lot of fun.
Right up Ken's alley.
Yeah. So I got So I had a question for you, Jamie. So you're on Appletinis, the podcast. what's your favorite drink? I'm drinking an Appletini. Dan's got his Boulevardier, right?
Tonight I've got ginger ale, dude.
Ginger ale, because last night you had how many?
I had a couple Boulevardiers last night, and I'm taking a break.
Well, good. Good.
You know, I went through an Appletinis phase one time because of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my wife would notice your show on and ask me about Appletini, and like, have you ever had an Appletini? I'm like, no. And then we started to make them, and then we started to become regular Appletini drinkers.
There you go.
Because of this show.
There you go.
And it lasted for maybe 6 months, and then we never had another one. I think that we were done with that. We moved on to something else, back to margaritas or whatever else we make in the house. I would say my favorite drink. I'm really lame. It's like light beer. I mean, that's how sad it is.
That's
I don't
like
the
Miller Lite?
calories.
Like
Miller Lite. That's what I drink.
Michelob Ultra, something like that.
Exactly, because I don't like the calories so much. I don't want to do too many calories, but I like to drink beer. So usually that's, you can't beat it. Like 110 calories, you get a beer. I mean, that's pretty cool, so I can have a couple of those. So yeah, I'm pretty lame. I'm pretty lame when it comes to drinks. That's what I usually do is light beer.
I do like the fact that you had an Appletini phase though. So
I did.
Right? Yes. I mean, they're great. Tastes like a Jolly Rancher. They really do. The Apple Jolly Rancher.
It's like his Taylor Swift, his Appletini era.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what I've drank recently. I'm thinking eggnog and rum. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I drank recently.
Yeah, the holidays just rolled by. So yeah. I don't change it up much. I go Appletinis or beer, one or the other.
Yeah.
I don't drink it.
I used to make a beer an Oktoberfest, and I love Oktoberfest beer. Like that's one of my favorite beers. I'm just a big beer guy. I like off a tap. I always like the Blue Moon. I mean, you can't beat a Blue Moon off a tap.
Oh,
it just tastes good.
You would have loved Vanish. You would have loved Vanish Brewing. They had some really good ones. They had a red ale last night that was really good. So we're gonna have to go out there one night and get some beer. So
no, I love beer. I like getting flights and stuff. Not too many places have flights anymore, but that's always my favorite. Is getting a flight.
Yeah, they had it. They had flights. They had everything. So we got to go out there. But anyway, Jamie, we are at that point because we got to let you go because I know you got some stuff you got to get to coming up. So we're going to let you go. But thank you so much for coming on. Where can people follow you on the social medias?
Yeah, I'm still, because I work so hard to get all my Twitter or X followers, I'm still there. So I'm holding on with the death grip, even though I'll post something and only 3 people will see it.
Right.
But I'm at Jamie_Nash. Yeah, you got.
You posted something the other day on X, and man, that video got 70,000 views.
Yeah.
It was about last night at Terrace Lanes, and it got 70,000 views. Man, that was amazing.
Yeah, occasionally if I work the angles well enough, I can get some views still. But you can also find me on jamienash.net, JAMIENASH.net. And if you want to contact me or anything, most of the stuff there, I guess people find me there to do script consulting or something like that.
Sure.
But Save the Cat kind of stuff.
So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that before you head out.
Sure. I'm trying to think of what's new. I have a webinar coming up. I can't remember the date, but it's in February. It's 2 Saturdays in February. It's a Beyond the Beat Sheet. So if you know Save the Cat at all, Save the Cat is kind of a tool you can use to, I always say, pull story out of you. It's kind of like a fill in the blanks. This is the really lame pitch that the haters would call it, but I'll give you that because it's quick. It's kind of a fill in the blanks way to write a movie. And it's probably the most prevalent way you can or the most popular book out there, book series or methodology. Also, you can use it for novels, or if you want to write TV. I wrote a book called Save the Cat Writes for TV, and I wrote another book called Save the Cat Beat Sheet Workbook, which Dan mentioned in the opening. But yeah, I have a webinar coming up. So if you're a Save the Cat kind of person and you got like $50, $60, whatever it is, it's a 2-weekend webinar. and it will kind of teach you everything you know how to outline your movie or your novel in 2 days, essentially. So you can join up with that.
Which is
And this is
great.
crazy. I just saw you shared earlier that Dan Levy has
Yes.
come around and is using Save the Cat. Like here is this person who won all these Emmys for Schitt's Creek and even the podcaster that he was being interviewed by says, wait a minute, wait. So you just went
Right.
from all these Emmys to basically doing Mad Libs through Save the Cat. And how did you? I mean, that's first of all that's crazy, but Save the Cat's been around for a long time. How did you specifically get involved, or how did they find you, or you find them, or how did that come about?
Tina Fey was also, I saw a quote from her that she used Save the Cat. I think it was on Mean Girls, though. I think it was way back when.
Oh, wow.
When she was trying to figure out how to write Mean Girls. Both of those came out like back to back, I saw.
Too bad that didn't work out for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think she was being interviewed for the Mean Girls musical, and she mentioned back in the old days that's how she did it. So how did I come about Save the Cat? So the guy who wrote Save the Cat, the original Save the Cat that came up with the original methodology, is a guy named Blake Snyder. And a long, long time ago, he and I were in a writers group together online.
Oh, nice.
And he's most known for, like, a lot of people bash him because he was the writer of Stop or My Mom Will Shoot was the movie he wrote.
I remember that movie. It was great.
Yeah. And then he wrote a movie called Blank Check.
Okay.
He sold, I mean, when I met him, he was coming off of the Herbie movie with Lindsay Lohan. He had gotten hired like for $1 million to write the first draft of that. And it was called Herbie Goes to NASCAR. So when they replaced him with the two Reno 911 guys who write all the kids movies. They did, I can't remember their names now. And he was kind of upset about it. So he was kind of basically
Miller and Lord.
What's the names?
Is it Chris Miller and Lord?
No. Yeah, it's Lennon and I can't remember. It's two guys. It was the one guy who used to wear the shorts in Reno 911.
Yes.
But, and then the other main guy who appears in lots of movies. He shows up as a doctor and stuff in a lot of movies. He's a funny guy. So after that, after he got bumped from it, he was kind of bummed, and he decided to retool his project as Fast and the Furious meets Herbie. Basically. And he was like, he read my stuff, and he was like, I need a young guy to help me write this. And I need a young comedy writer to help me write this. And he had agents and stuff. And this is a time when I hadn't even sold anything. And he was like, let's co-write this together. And I was like, wow, he's got agents. I'm going to sell. This is my track. I'm on a big track.
Yeah.
And during that time, he was using the Save the Cat methodology on me. And I just thought it was standard Hollywood jargon. I didn't realize it was like a thing he was doing. Sure. And then like two years later, he came out with a book that had all that stuff in there. And it was the stuff he and I used to write that script and then another one after it. So anyway, I had been friends with the Save the Cat people all that time. He passed away. Blake Snyder passed away in 2008, 2009-ish. He died suddenly. But his friends kept the business going, his business partners. They kept the business going, and it still exists to this day. So when they needed, the first thing I did was I taught for them. I taught some classes for them. But then when they wanted a TV book, they approached me and they asked me if I had any interest in writing a TV book, and I did. And that's how it came about. That's a long-winded answer.
And it's a great book because I know every detail of that book.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. I did. I shot the video for it. So
yeah.
I do have one more question, and I know we're getting close here, so I'll try to make mine short so you can make yours short. So obviously we've known you for a long time, and I'm familiar with your background, and so and I don't know the timeline, but you were working here, like you said. At this point, you hadn't sold anything. You had worked in IT. What was the I think because I think everybody, especially creative types, they're all out there. We all have the job that we do that sustains us, but the job that we want to do that fulfills us. So. What was the thing? What was it that allowed you to move away? Either a catalyst moment or a fuck it moment or whatever it was. What was it that got you out of that IT world and into saying, I'm now a writer, full time?
Right. So I loved IT at the time. I mean, I was passionate about that. I was just a little more passionate about writing. Um, I had a little bit more passion for writing. I sold my first script. Well, I sold a couple scripts before Altered, which was Probed originally. But when Probed sold, I remember the Blair Witch guys kind of warning me, like some of them, like, you better have a lawyer, be ready, because things are about to change. You know,
Yep,
things are
here it
about to
comes.
be ready, be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not quit. They couldn't believe. They're like, "You still work?" They because I'll be like, "I can't come to the meeting. I gotta, do the day job." Now, here's the big thing I should say about my day job. I worked really hard, knowing I wanted to be a writer, to work from home before everybody else worked from home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I've been working from home since 1999,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I did not quit. My first script sold for six figures. My first I shouldn't say my first script sold for six figures. My first six-figure script was in 2004, but I didn't go full time to 2009. And the whole time people were asking me, "What? You still work a day job? Why can't you take a meeting? Why can't you come out to set?" And I was like, "No, I got to work day job. I can't do that."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did not quit my day job until the subprime mortgage came around. I was working as a consultant for Citigroup. I was getting paid way too much money to work from home. And they basically said, we're getting rid of most of our contractors. And I had a choice. I could go get another job. I had a lot of connections. I could have easily, or I was like, screw it. I'm just not going to get another job. And I'm
Yeah.
just going to sit here and write. And that was around 2008, 2009 ish. So the stock market crashed. Most of my money was in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my job and I had my first kid all in that October to January of
Oh,
2009.
Jesus.
Um, but my plan always was, as long as I could break even, because I had been saving my ass off, knowing I was one day going to do this writer thing. So I'd been saving. Um, as long as I could break even, I would keep it going. I would say some years I did not break even after that. And then there came a point where there was no turning back. I'd say at some point I kind of lost my IT skills, I just couldn't go back. And now I can't go back. So now I'm just glad I saved because, if I didn't, I'd be in dire straits or something because it worked out just fine. But it, as a lot of people will talk about in writing and the arts and stuff like that, it's not quite as lucrative as you would imagine it is.
Right.
It's very much you burn through that money pretty quick, and there are a lot of downtimes. There are a lot of times where you get no work at all, and a lot of times you just have to hustle for scraps. So, um, but it's been a great run, and it keeps going. So I feel like I made 100% the right choice. Like I never regret the choice. It was all good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, so Jamie, what's happening on Sunday night, and then give us a little preview of what's going to happen on Tuesday. So,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
we'll get out of here.
Yeah, and I'm not super hard pressed for time, but I get right after this. I'm going to talk at a writing group. That's
There
what
you
I'm
go.
doing. I'm a guest speaker at a writing group.
Awesome.
So Sunday night Sunday night we're having a red carpet premiere at Frederick at the Warehouse Cinemas. Oh,
Yeah.
fill me in if I screw any of this up. Let me know.
Okay.
You can buy tickets. Everybody's invited. So anybody. Well, that's right. Sunday night. This comes out when?
Yes, it'll
Tuesday?
come out. It comes out
Oh,
Monday.
Last night.
Yeah.
So you missed it. So I won't plug
Yeah.
it that much. But we're having
Exactly.
a red carpet premiere on Sunday night.
Mhm.
But
You could
then
have
on
come. You could have bought a
Tuesday-
ticket and
You,
come.
you,
had
you could have.
You
Yeah.
could've.
Yeah.
Could have. So if you have massive FOMO right now, what you can do is go and get Last Night at Terrace Lanes. It's premiering online, streaming everywhere. By the way, streaming everywhere these days, because I remember when the Jester rolled out, it slowly popped up in places like every couple weeks. But it looks like it's definitely going to be on the Apple streaming services.
Yes.
It'll probably pop up elsewhere between now and then, but it might not. It might only be on Apple on Tuesday.
To start. Yeah.
To start, but then maybe by Friday it'll be somewhere else, and Tuesday it'll be somewhere else. So you can go and I think it's to purchase right now. It's like a $9.99 purchase on Apple.
Yes, it is.
Am I saying that right?
You are correct.
So go pre-order it now. Pass the word along. These things are so grassroots. They don't really advertise these things. This is it. This is what we get. It's podcasts and 70,000 views on my Twitter account, and hopefully Francesca, our lead actor, because she has like 2 million.
She does. She does.
She's got to be the one to do it. I was on a radio thing with her today. That was the first time I even heard her voice in a long time. But yeah, so pass the word. Pass the word. When you hear podcasts say, give us a like, give us a subscribe, they are not playing around. That stuff is all that matters. Like, people look at stuff and they make quick decisions, and that's what you need to do. You need to go help us out. If you're listening to this, just go help us out real quick, and then give us a review, and give us a good review. Even if you hated it, just don't even watch it. Give us a review. All this
exactly.
Stuff
well, you know what? And then that leads into the segue right here. Guys, if you enjoy this podcast that you're listening to right now, we have a button on our page, on the Buzzsprouts page, and we put it in our description on YouTube. Buy us a coffee. We're not asking for you to subscribe. We're not asking for any of that. But if you want to support this podcast and you want to help us out so we can keep bringing on great guests like Jamie Nash and, the other guests that we have, please help us out so we can keep this thing going and we can keep up, because all this equipment and all the stuff that we got, the subscriptions to Buzzsprout, the subscription to Ecamm, and all the things that we use in the production of this cost money. So if you can help us out, that would be fantastic. So we would appreciate that.
And if you get a chance, like and rate us whatever streaming service you listen to us on or download us from. Speaking of that, Jamie, do you just want to real quick you have a podcast as well with a couple of your pals?
Yeah. When you guys were going into mentioning yours, I was like, I really need to mention that.
You should.
We have a podcast called Raiders Blockbusters. We've been doing it for like 6 or 7 years now. We're up over 100 episodes. I don't know exactly what we are. And Raiders Blockbusters, the way it works is it picks a movie. Usually it's one that's either out right now or a classic, like one of our favorites, basically, is what it is. And then we basically just comb through it for screenwriting lessons, for kind of craft lessons. We debate what the theme is, so it's really from a screenwriter's perspective. It's not so much I hate it, I love it podcast. It's more like, how did it work? Why did it work? Why didn't it work? It's really trying to break it down from that perspective. And right now, if you go check it out, there's over 100 movies. Find your favorite, give it a listen, see if you like it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Jamie, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the release of Last Night at Terrace Lanes.
And congratulations to you too, Ken.
Thank you so much.
I congratulate both of you. So,
thank you. Thank you very much. But again, thank you for everything that you've done for me and this industry. I appreciate it. And if you could you please take us out by introducing that last thing that we do here on the Appletinis podcast?
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
The music styling's up. This is actually one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, I'll sit around and after hearing it, I can't help but sing it. I actually think it's really the song's way better than the podcast. Let's just put it that way. This song just destroys. I mean,
that's going on our description on Buzzsprout. The song's way better than the podcast.
Yes, the song is way better.
The song is just so much better than the podcast. No, I don't even know how you pulled this off, but let's listen to it one more time. Here it is, the Appletinis song. Do it.
Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah, Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah. Oh. Appletinis with Ken. Appletinis with Ken. Oh yeah.